Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin' It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin' It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan alongside the young boy Josh Smith. Thank you again for downloading our show for another week. We got a lot of great feedback on last week's Fantastica Mania show. And Josh, since the last time we've recorded, there's been 2 more Fantastica Mania shows. There has been 2 New Beginning shows, title changes, and a lot of hot angles going on. If we were to try to cover all that this week, we'd probably have a 4-hour episode.
Sounds good to me.
But no, we're not gonna do that.
They did that on Sunday in WWE. That was longer than that. Seemed to work out pretty good for those guys.
Yeah, but we're not gonna do that to you guys. What we're gonna do, we're gonna cover the New Beginning shows next week. This week we're going to focus on the last 2 nights of Fantastica Mania. I know there are a lot of podcasts out there that don't care for Fantastica Mania and are not giving you guys the coverage you want. But here at Keeping It Strong Style, we like Fantastica Mania, and we're going to give you the Fantastica Mania coverage. Like I mentioned, we got a lot of great feedback on last week's Fantastica Mania show.
Those were really well-received shows, and also we got a lot of downloads. I was kind of surprised.
I was surprised too. I didn't know, a lot of people, I don't know if they watch Fantastica Mania, but we got a lot of downloads, and I saw a lot of people on the New Japan Reddit they were excited about Fantastica Mania and were looking for more coverage of it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of cool to be able to kind of bridge the gap between New Beginning and excuse me guys, Normally I'm the young boy, but I'm sick boy right now. Kind of this sickness been trying to overtake me. I keep trying to kick out though. But yeah, to kind of bridge the gap between Tokyo Dome all the way to New Beginning, and these shows were very, very good, so they kind of do deserve the coverage that we can give them.
Right, and so next week we will cover the 2 New Beginning and Sapporo shows. We will also next week name the January Wrestler of the Month and January Match of the Month.
Oh yeah, and actually I'm excited to see if there's something, on these next 2 shows. I've been hearing some rumblings about one of the main events was supposed to be really good, so we'll see what happens with that.
All right, Josh. Well, let's start off Fantastica Mania from January 21st.
Let's do that.
Opening match, we had the team of Puma and Disturbio taking on the team of Drone and Star Jr. Good little opening tag match here. Disturbio was getting a lot of heat during this match for he was biting Star Jr. and Drone a lot through the match. There was an awesome top rope powerbomb spot from Puma onto Star Jr. Star Jr. did an awesome Asai moonsault at one point in the match. What do you think about this match, Josh?
You said it was Puma and Disturbio against
Drone and Star Jr.
Yes, I mean that was a good opener. From what I understand, these guys essentially are somewhat of like mid-card to like opener type guys, and they don't get to be featured as often like in big shows like the Arena Mexico shows and all that. So I felt like everybody here worked really hard. What was the finish of that match?
So the finish was Puma caught Drone in a cradle, and pinned him. And something we mentioned on last week's show in these CMLL matches, that a lot of times they could end with a quick roll up or cradle. It's not always a big finish, and that's what happened here. Puma caught Drone with a cradle and picked up the win here.
Yeah, one of the only things with these shows is, 3 of them back to back. It's almost, they do so much stuff, which I'm not knocking that at all, but it almost makes it hard to remember anything as being too memorable.
Right.
But I do remember, I thought this match was good. Out of these guys, I do remember thinking that I like Star Jr. a lot. I think,
yes,
like Star Jr., he comes off as being really, really, really charismatic, and that guy can really move in the ring. He does a lot of crazy freaking crap. And then Puma, don't know about his gimmick long term. I guess in Mexico it probably, because I know he's the son of, I think, Felino or one of the someone of that nature. But he's a great worker, actually. He gets a lot of really good heel heat, and the guy can just tell a story using his body language, not so much just having to have facial expressions, that sort of thing. So I thought this was really good, and it didn't outstay its welcome. It was kind of quick, happened, bang bang boom. And yeah, this is a good match, good opener.
Yeah, I also too was impressed with Star Jr. and hope to see some more of his matches in the future. The next match, we had the team of Fuego, Soberano Jr., and Taguchi taking on Okamura and Sho and Yo over Pungi 3K.
Yeah, so this match was the first time that we really got to see Fuego and Taguchi sort of interact.
Yeah,
and kind of cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, I would say, before we can talk about the match, we have to talk about what Taguchi was wearing. He came out here with this green vest thing and this green hat. He looked like the Lucky Charms mascot. I was like, what are you wearing, Taguchi?
I was trying to get through these because I only had a short period of time to kind of watch these. I was kind of just skipping through the entrances, except for when LIJ would come out. So I didn't actually even see that get up, but
it was all I thought was Lucky Charms when I saw that. Also, Roppongi 3K were wearing lucha masks for their entrance.
I noticed that. Did you also notice that they have different attires now?
Yes, they did. I think that was just for the Fantastica Mania. I don't know. I watched New Beginning Night 1. I can't remember what
they have their normal attire back.
I thought they did, but I could be wrong. I watched so much wrestling the last few days, everything's starting to blur.
So Sho kind of has this, I don't know, almost Goto-esque sort of pants, and then Yo's wearing these cut off half. I forget, there was someone in WWE who used to wear something like that. I feel like it was Zack Ryder, wasn't it? Who he used to have.
Yes, the one leg. Yeah,
the one leg. So those are kind of different, but they kind of fit his character a bit. And I thought this match was really fun, actually.
Yeah, this was a really good match. Actually, one thing I put in my notes, all I wrote down was Taguchi is over. The crowd, they love Taguchi. It's just awesome to see, he's not always considered as one of the top guys because he's kind of a clown, but
yeah,
he's over with the fans, and when it comes down to when it's time for him to wrestle, he knows how to get stuff done in the ring.
Who's over is Mima Shimoda. That's Akamura's wife.
Oh yes, she is.
She's great. Yeah. Just everything that she does, healing it up, and she takes bumps and stuff.
Yeah, she got involved these last 2 nights in both of Akamura's matches a lot more than she did on night 1.
Yeah, apparently I didn't realize Mima Shimoda. Once I realized that that's who she was, I was like, oh, okay. I've seen her wrestle as in old Joshi tapes and things like that, so I am actually familiar with her work. She was a great worker. She probably still is, actually. But this was a really fun match. I thought that Sho and Yo, they've spent time in Mexico, so they fit well, right in with this. I liked the stuff with Fuego and Akamura, just the comedy spots. Fuego's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And like you mentioned, we're talking about Mima. She was in there and she was giving Taguchi a little bit of his own medicine with the hip attacks.
Yeah. Didn't she spank him at one point?
I think she did too, and then she hit him with the hip attacks until he started motorboarding her.
Yeah, that was weird. This is stuff you're never gonna see in WWE.
Right.
Those days are gone. But yeah, so I mean, Fuego, Soberano Jr. and Taguchi defeated Okamura, Sho, and Yo. Soberano hit the Enziguri and corkscrew high cross on Okamura, and he picked up the win there. Another fun little, match.
Something else I wrote in my notes. I wrote about Soberano Jr. I wrote he's smooth.
He's so smooth. Where a lot of these guys kind of seem frantic and all over the place, and one of the knocks that a lot of like Western fans have on Lucha Libre is sometimes it can see disconjointed or, kind of clunky, and they work from the other, they work from the left side,
right, the right side, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of guys don't like that just visually, but Soberano is just so smooth.
Yeah, man, he hit a Fosbury flop that was just great.
Everything he does is like poetry. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to say he's like the Lucha Randy Orton, but I mean, when we think of smooth workers, I mean, Randy Orton's always the guy that comes to mind, so it's kind of similar to that in a way.
Right, and something else too I took a note of with Taguchi, we've been seeing the Nakamura tributes throughout
a lot,
yeah, since Wrestle Kingdom, I believe. He's been doing the Nakamura dance and the throwback pose thing, so
I hope he keeps doing it.
Yeah, it's been hilarious. So yeah.
I hope one day we get a standoff between the two of them where they're both doing it and like in a match or something like that down the road. That'd be freaking awesome.
That would be. All right, up next we had the team of Atlantis, Kawato, Kojima, and Kushida taking on the team of Bushi, Rush, Takahashi, and Naito, LIJ.
Yeah, so this one was interesting in that LIJ got jumped from the get-go.
Right.
So it's kind of like the faces sort of picked up on, knew what they were going to do and kind of anticipated it and launched a preemptive attack. But then they basically got worked on the outside. LIJ still got the upper hand and just beat the crap out of them on the outside. But that was like a fun way to kind of unexpected opener, I suppose.
Right. And at some point during this... we saw Naito roll up on Milano again, the commentator.
Yeah, like he was going to attack him. Yeah, that man's got to be living in fear every time he sees Naito.
Yeah. But once again, LIJ, they worked so well together, even with Rush, who's not with them full-time all the time, because obviously he's in Mexico. But it's like he's a part of LIJ all the time. I mean, they work so well together.
For me, like on a lot of these shows, Rush has like been the standout guy.
Dude, he oozes charisma.
Man, he's so good.
I mean, when I see him, I'm like, man, this guy's a star.
Yeah, he's really, really, really good. Like, I don't know what else to say about him, but like his mannerisms, his like character work, we always talk about Tranquilo. He's like the least Tranquilo of all the guys.
Right.
Then he tries to like play it off like he's cool, but he's clearly like the crazy one in the group.
Yeah. I also popped for their little like soccer ball spot they've been doing where like actually they pass the soccer ball back and forth to each other.
I liked the new gear that they came out with the new jersey, the LIJ jersey.
Yeah.
Those are fresh. Like I would probably rock one of those.
Right. And then coming on one point in this match, they pretty much put the work on Kojima. He pretty much got jump zoned by all four members.
Man, Rush really beat the crap out of Kojima on the outside. I mean, it was kind of a prolonged thing. They had to separate them out. Oh, no, that was even after the match. But, like, during the match, man, he put the boots to that dude. Like, and you're a Kojima guy.
Yeah, I am. I love Kojima. So yes, I was very invested in this rivalry, and in my notes here for the finish of the match, I wrote Rush kills Kawato.
They were killing Kawato the whole
with a double underhook pile driver.
Hiromu was beating the crap out of Kawato.
Yes, dude, Kawato's chest was like...
It was bleeding.
Yeah.
It was bleeding at
Busted
one point.
open his chest.
That was some pro wrestling like Noah or some like Big Japan stuff right there. I mean, that was stiff as crap. We always talk about like strong style, but the truth is you don't see a lot of strong style in New Japan the way you do in like Big Japan or like Noah, some of the like guys, the bruisers they have over in those promotions. But man, this was some strong style strikes. Like,
right.
Yeah. Kawato was getting killed.
Yeah. And like I mentioned, Rush hit the Rush driver on Kawato to get the pin, and then post-match, Rush and Kojima were brawling. Rush beat Kojima down, which was obviously building to their one-on-one match on the next show.
Yeah, the crowd was really into that.
You're right. There was a lot of heat for this match. It was just another solid match, a fun match.
Yeah. It was fun, but also like they really beat the crap out of those guys. It was like I thought the match the night before I enjoyed that more just for the shenanigans and overall story, and it was kind of crazier. But this one was like a little more violent for sure.
Yeah. So up next we had the first semifinal match in the Hermanos tag team tournament. And you had Angel de Oro and Niebla Roja taking on the team of Ultimo and Gran Guerrero.
Yeah, so this was pretty good too. I think one thing the listeners are going to pick up on is everything we're saying here is like it's all pretty good. Nothing from this night so far had been really blow away. This was a kick up, in terms of quality. This is what like the first match I'd say was like in that 3.5 like territory, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it was really good for what it was. Obviously, the built-in story with Niebla Roja and Gran Guerrero. They had the title match the night before, and that freaking awesome match.
Yeah.
Well, not the night before, but 2 nights before.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and then obviously they headlined the anniversary show early, last year. So I mean, that kind of played into things here. And this was a really really good match.
Right,
There's a lot of good mat wrestling.
Yeah, there's a lot of great mat wrestling. A lot of insane dives. There were a lot of insane dive spots from the Oro brothers. Insane dives from the Guerreros. Ultimo Guerrero hit his top rope gourd buster thing.
Yeah, they kind of picked up where they were the night before, where in that match I think we mentioned they did a lot of top rope moves, big finishing top rope moves. They started doing that whole it's almost like how we talk about like a Western WWE match, like finisher, kick out, kind of like that. They just started going for these big moves but just off the top rope, which is kind of different. But yeah, it was really good. And when Gran Guerrero hit him with that, what is it that he hit him with?
His finish?
I guess he calls it the Gran Guerrero special.
Yeah,
but that's the thing where he lifts him up like he's gonna pile
it's
driver.
like a lawn dart kind of thing. Yeah, he gets on top rope, lifts him up, and then lawn darts them and jumps at the same time.
Yeah, the second half is really where it started picking up with all the dives and like the double team. There's a lot of double team dive moves.
Yeah. Angel de Oro, he did like a cartwheel Fosbury flop thing.
He's awesome,
and that was sick.
It's really shocking because in the West, we get like tastes of this sort of thing. There's one guy that's special in each promotion that does like lucha style, 1 or 2 guys, and we think of them as being the best. But when you go down to Mexico, everybody can do this stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's the whole style, and there's so many guys that are like that you're like, man, like everybody down there can do this stuff. It's pretty impressive, actually. We think like, we have Phoenix over here, we got Ray and all that, but then
you watch CMLL and
everybody down there's doing that stuff, and I mean, obviously there's a difference between the top elite guys, so I'm not trying to say everybody can be like, Mystico or whatever, but still, from like Star Jr., Sabarano, Angel de Oro, like there's a lot of guys down there.
I mean, even like the other guys like Star Jr.
Yeah.
are really, really good. So as we mentioned, the Guerrero brothers picked up the win here. It's a very good tag match,
which I predicted.
Yeah. I mean, the vision, man. Josh has the vision. Called this tournament exactly. Yeah, Guerrero's picked up the win here.
I don't think it doesn't take like too much. I mean, it's nothing special about me. I'm pretty sure most people that are semi-familiar could probably tell you, like, if Ultimo Guerrero and Gran Guerrero are teamed up, they're going to end up in the finals. Like, they're, Ultimo Guerrero is one of the biggest names in the company. So.
Right. And then we had the next Hermanos semifinal match with the brother team of Dragon Lee and Mystico taking on the team of Cuartero and Sanson.
This was good. It was shorter, and I think it was as good as the previous tag match. I thought it was interesting to see Quattrero and Sanson come out with the different like brother gear that they had. They wore the actual trunks instead of tights, which was different, and they all white. The whole time I was sitting there, I was like, good guys wear white, I guess. This was really good, too.
Yeah, they were getting some heat in the beginning of the match, trying to take off Mystico's mask. Yeah. Dragon Lee, he did an awesome Falcon Arrow at one point in this match.
They did a lot of awesome stuff. Like, that's the thing. There's so many moves to call to just be like, they're doing a lot of crap.
Yeah.
Mystico and Dragon Lee, two of the best high flyers in the whole world, and they're brothers, and they just showed everybody why they're two of the best at what they do. To steal a line from Chris Jericho, but they're really, really good. I mean, and Quattrero and Sanson, both of those guys, they're I forget who their family is or their lineage, but I know that they're both destined for stardom in that company, just based on their build and their look and their family pedigree. But with that still being the case, like, they weren't, on this particular night, they weren't going to go over Mystico and Dragon Lee.
Right. There was a lot of awesome Ranas in this match. Yeah, there was a reverse Rana by Dragon Lee. There was like a apron, like assisted Hurricane Rana thing that Dragon Lee and Mystico did.
There was a Hurricane Rana to the outside. That was really awesome.
And then, like you mentioned, they couldn't take out Mystico and Dragon Lee. Mystico gets the win. He counters the suplex, locks in the La Mystica, which is like looks like he's going for a head scissors, but then he drops him down into like a Fujiwara arm bar. Yeah. And he got the submission win here. Match was 10 minutes and 30 seconds, so not that long, but it was still a very good match.
I remember I used to play WWE like 13 or 14, I don't remember which one it was, and I used to try to play Sin Cara a lot because he was getting that big push. Yeah. And I hated that finish. Every time I was like, I gotta go in. What are the finishes in that game called? The breaking submission.
Oh, the breaking point or whatever.
Breaking point. I freaking hated having to. I was like, this is this dude's finish. He's one of the best high flyers in the world, and he goes into a Fujiwara armbar. Sucks.
Grab a hole, pal. All right, and then we have the main event of the evening.
Oh, yeah.
This was a match that you were looking forward to.
The most.
Yes, you were. This was the NWA welterweight title match. We had the champion, Volador Jr., taking on the challenger, Barbaro Cavernario.
Let's be clear here. This was not for the NWA Welterweight Championship. This is for the NWA World Historic Welterweight Championship. These are not the two same belts. And if you have questions about what I'm referring to, just listen to our last podcast. We made mention of this, but yeah, I've heard a lot of people say this is for the NWA Welterweight title. It's not. It's for the World Historic Welterweight belt, which is freaking confusing as crap.
Right. We went over in the last episode a lot about all the titles that are in CMLL. A lot of titles. So listen to last week's episode if you need a history lesson on why there's so many belts and what belt is what. But so this is for the NWA Historic Welterweight title. The champion, like I mentioned, Volador Jr., the challenger, your man, Barbaro.
Dude, both of these guys are my guys. I love Volador, and I love Barbaro. I like Barbaro Cavernario the best. For me, like, he's my favorite guy in CMLL for a lot of different reasons. But this was the match of the whole tour. The whole tour.
Yeah. Something very interesting at the beginning, Volador, he kept his mask on for a little bit in the beginning and did a couple sequences with the mask. I was like, is he going to keep the mask on for this match?
Once that mask comes off, they never work.
That's what I was confused about, but then eventually he took it off.
He does it like I said in the last podcast, he doesn't do that in Japan, in Mexico, but in Japan, these guys, I don't know why, it's just like this, spot. Him and Ultimo Guerrero, they do it every match, but they don't do it in Mexico, just here. Yeah. They do it every year. It's weird. I guess
know. They figured out to get a pop in Japan. They're like, we'll keep doing it every year. Cheap pop.
They get a pop off of it every single time. But this match was crazy.
And I mean, there were tons of crazy moves in this match. There was a nice plancha by Barbaro. There was also, he did a crazy dive spot. He did a splash to the floor, which was...
there was one point where he did a springboard plancha into a Hurricane Rana to the outside.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, that's some Rey Mysterio 97 crap, like 96, 97 stuff. Like, you know, it's crazy when you go back, you watch those matches and realize how good Rey was, because even as good as these guys are, they're not really on the level that Rey was. But I dare say Volador might be the best luchador that I've seen that's like active out there, because I mean, he's incredible.
Yeah, he's great. And there was I forgot who it was, but it was like a hammerlock suplex on the floor.
They did a lot of stuff on the outside.
Yeah.
That he did the one spot where he does the, you know, on the inside where Cavernario, he does the thing where he runs up, springboards.
The springboard splash thing, yeah.
He did that on the outside off of a chair, which was really cool. One thing you're going to learn about Barbaro Cavernario, this man hates his knees. He just does not give a crap about his knees. That spot that he does where he does the splash to the outside.
Yeah, the caveman splash.
He does it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's like walking. This dude like hates his freaking kneecaps. He doesn't want to walk when he's old.
And
he needs to have a talk with Mick Foley, bro.
Yeah, seriously.
But I love him.
Volador Jr., he hit a Spanish fly from the top turnbuckle for a near fall towards the end.
In the beginning, it just seemed like these guys were trying to outdo one another, but at the end, again, you know, Cavernario was really going for the win, and he was doing everything in his power to put, you know, Volador away. One thing was I saw, and I don't have the specific stats here, but like apparently Volador's been holding on to this belt for like multiple years now, and I think he's got something like 17 or 18 title defenses like racked up. You know, because they don't defend their titles that often, so he's got one of the longest reigns in CMLL right now, which is for this title, which he's really raised the prestige of the belt quite a bit because of that. So I mean, that was a big deal, going into this match. Really, really, really good match.
Yeah, it was awesome. I highly recommend. You haven't watched Fantastica Mania, at least go do yourself the favor and watch this match from night 2.
I guess the finish was pretty much at the end. You know, Cavernario hit him with a huge superplex. He got the 2, and then he wasn't able to capitalize. Volador kicked out, and then they went to the top, and Volador hit him with the Spanish fly for the fall, and that was it.
Didn't he? I thought he hit a Canadian destroyer after that.
That's right. It was a Canadian destroyer. It was a Spanish fly. He kicked out, and then he hit him with
well, I guess, is it a Mexican destroyer then?
I guess so, man. He hit it so fast.
Yeah, it was so clean. I felt like I was watching Petey Williams in the X Division in his prime.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful Canadian destroyer, and picked up the win and successful title defense to end the 21st Fantastica Mania.
So I still, and I'll just say this, I thought the first night, personally, because of how good the card just overall was, and with the LIJ shenanigans and then the top 2 title matches, I thought overall that was the best night. But this probably was one of the like 2 or 3 best matches, if not the best match of the entire tour. And it was, you know, right, this would have fit in with any New Japan like match, like, you know, Best of the Super Juniors, or, you know, anything we've seen from like Hiromu and like Kushida and like Ospreay and all those guys over the past couple years. I mean, this was the same caliber of level. Like, title match was awesome match,
very great match,
and that crowd ate it up, man.
Yeah, they did. They loved it.
They were really hot for that match. So I was very, very pleased, because that was the match I was looking forward to the most, and they really delivered.
Yeah, you hyped it up, and it lived up to the hype. So
yeah, I'm good when that happens. I'm glad when that happens, and when I don't look stupid.
All right, now on to Fantastica Mania, January 22nd. This was the last night of the Fantastica Mania tour. It opened up with the team of Fuego and Taguchi taking on Puma and Disturbio. Once again, Taguchi was wearing the Lucky Charms gimmick, and he also had like a bird thing around his crotch. It was really weird. And something else to take a note of, we mentioned last week's episode that we were kind of down on the whole music issue. Well,
they fixed it.
Yeah, on night 3.
They fixed it. They've been listening to the podcast.
Yeah, well, on night 2, they replaced everything with the Fantastica Mania music.
Oh, that got so
old fast.
That got old fast.
But here on this show, they actually dubbed in music.
I was wondering about that. I was like, why did they only do the new music for this show and then the other one that just got, I don't know, someone in the production truck is
listening to Keeping It Strong Style. I was like, man, these guys are right. We need to get our act together with the music.
They didn't fix the first show. I went back and watched a match from it. It's still the dead air, so it's kind of weird.
They fixed that. Disturbio, I'm guessing he's like a big Dragon Ball Z mark.
Oh, I was gonna mention that.
He's wearing the Saiyan armor.
Yeah, he had the freaking Saiyan armor. But you know what I thought was cool about it was he didn't have the Vegeta Saiyan armor or something. He had the
Ginyu Force.
Yeah, the Ginyu Force. The jobber. He knows he's a mid-card guy, so he's wearing mid-card armor.
Right. He looked like, I forget now, there was the fat green one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, he's wearing the same armor as, I forget it, Bulba?
Yeah, I think that was his name.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I watched that saga. And then
I didn't know you liked Dragon Ball Z.
Dude, I love Dragon Ball Z. I'm watching Dragon Ball Super right now, bro.
Are you?
Yeah.
Dude, I did not know that. You know that I went and saw, what was the movie when Frieza came back?
Wasn't it Frieza's Revenge or something like that?
I went and saw it in the movie theaters.
Oh, wow.
That was dope.
Yeah, so yeah.
I haven't started watching Super yet, but...
I'm a nerd, guys. Yeah, I watch professional wrestling.
How did we never talk about this? So weird.
I don't know.
But and they do the fusion.
Yeah,
dance.
there's a fusion spot. Yeah,
that's freaking.
And the announcers marked out too. They were like, fusion.
Oh man, it was awesome. Yeah, this was another fun.
And there was also a Kamehameha spot too.
Yo, I saw that and I was like, please, nobody. Thank God so few people watch this, because please God, no one show this to Jim. Don't let Jimmy see this, because Jim Cornette is gonna lose his mind if he sees that crap.
Goddamn anime wrestlers shooting the Kamehameha, ruining the business. Oh my gosh, yeah. I was dying laughing when that happened.
Yo, this was a really funny match. Disturbio and Puma just kind of being the very charismatic, goofy heels, and then Fuego and Taguchi doing every silly spot under the sun. It was a really fun opener. That spot that you mentioned where Taguchi's been doing the thing where kind of like how Cien Almas catches himself in the ropes, but he does it with his butt now.
Right.
So weird. But then he got Kamehameha out of the ring and he sold it like he got killed.
Yeah.
So stupid, but it's so funny.
It's so hilarious. Even
I don't even know if I should bury it or put it over. I don't know what to do with that. I don't want to touch it.
And even the announcers, they put that over too. Kamehameha! There was also a great moonsault to the outside from Fuego.
Fuego's he's a comedy act, but that guy can really move too. Yeah. All these guys can. It's crazy.
Yeah.
How do they work like that? It's nuts.
All year round.
I know.
Crazy. And then the finish came here. Fuego got a quick crucifix for the win. So another fun.
Oh yeah, he hit him with the that wraparound pin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that usually if someone gets hit with that in Mexico,
it's dunsies.
That's a dunsies. Yeah. You're done.
So yeah, another fun opener match. It was solid, a lot of comedy, and the crowd really enjoyed it. The next match we had Jushin Thunder Liger, Tiger Mask, Kushida, and Star Jr. taking on the team of Okamura, Sho, Yo, and Rocky Romero.
Yes. So this was, kind of everything you'd expect it to be. I remember watching this thinking it was really good, but after it was over, I was like, I enjoyed it a lot. Probably wasn't as good as I enjoyed it to be.
Right, and something too to note. I don't know I know you were kind of skipping some of the entrances, but did you see Kushida's Time Machine mask?
Yeah, he does that every year. I did see that actually because I watched more of the entrances this time because they had music. So I did see that. That was pretty funny. And then, Jushin Thunder Liger coming out with Tiger Mask and Kushida, so kind of like the New Japan, juniors and teaming up with Star Jr. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. There was a lot of great chain wrestling in the beginning between Kushida and Yo. There's a spot where all four of the baby faces were dancing and they were trying to get Tiger.
Oh yeah, Tiger. They tried to get Tiger Hattori with that.
Yeah.
And he did the weird like old man I don't know, shuffle, I guess.
Right.
It's so weird. But yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, and then Akamura's wife was involved in this match quite a bit.
Mima.
Yeah, Mima. She took a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, and the fans did not like that.
They didn't like it. Every time she bumped, because she is kind of like a legend over there still. I mean, she's a heel, but they love her.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Tiger Mask was getting some heat out there.
Yeah, and Kushida suplexed her.
Yeah, Kushida got heat too.
Yeah,
I forgot
fans
about that.
booed, and even Kushida covered his head. He was like, "Oh, kind of like I'm sorry, guys," but she
deserved it.
Right.
She was asking for it.
Liger, he did a cannonball from the apron. That was pretty cool.
It's crazy that Liger can still go the way he can, man. It's just nuts. It's every time we see him, it shouldn't be so surprising. But I mean, this dude's in his 50s, and there's very few guys in the world. I mean, the only guy I can think of off the top of my head is maybe Negro Casas. I can't think of anybody else that's still going like that.
Right.
That's crazy.
And then coming on to the end of the match, Akamura hits his reverse DDT thing on Star Jr. and gets the win here.
Who hit that?
Akamura.
Oh, Akamura. Yeah. Akamura him with the Scorpion Death Drop.
Pretty much, yeah.
I guess that's his finish, because that's what he finished Fuego with the first night too.
Right, and he does it. He picks him up in a scoop slam first, and then he drops him down.
Yeah, it's pretty vicious looking, actually. It's a pretty believable finish. Akamura is an older guy too who can really go.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised.
I like his gear too. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of Cody's gear.
Yeah, and he got the pattern, and he has all kind of the different flags on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that kind of thought this was disconjointed, but I thought it was perfectly what it needed to be. It was really fun, and everybody got their stuff in. It was a good, another good match.
Yeah. Then next up, we had the losers bracket match in the Hermanos tournament, and I really like they did this losers bracket because for those of you who don't know, I wrestled in high school, and a lot of times when we did tournaments, they were always double elimination. So you could lose one match and still wind up getting third. There was a losers bracket, so I thought that was pretty cool that they did a losers bracket here.
Yeah, and this was kind of playing off the fact that it wasn't Niebla Roja, but I think didn't Angel de Oro, he wrestled. Who did he wrestle the first night? Was it Quartero or
Yeah, I think it was Quartero.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, another play on a title match that we saw during this tournament, but
yeah. So it was Angel de Oro and Niebla Roja against Quartero and Sanson.
Yeah, and this was actually of all the tag matches, I thought this was probably the worst one.
Yeah.
But it was still pretty decent for what it was.
They didn't get much time. They got 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. But still, they tried to go very fast paced, probably because they had such a short time. But they went a fast pace. It was very hard hitting too. Yeah,
they were throwing some really hard strikes in this. I remember there being one point where they were trading blows, and I was like, "This could be a GIF right here."
Right? Yeah. Strong style.
Yeah.
There was a assisted dive. Orho jumped off of Roja's back.
That was cool. Yeah, and then he ran across the other end and
did his flip dive. Yeah, there was a great double submission spot. And Quartero and Sanson ended up getting the win here.
Yeah, so apparently Angel de Oro and Niebla Roja, even though they're both champions, they are the worst of all the brother tag teams.
Right.
So they didn't get a single win during this tournament.
Sanson did this cool top rope spinning rack bomb thing to get the win.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that move was awesome. I actually was kind of worried. I was like, these guys are freaking insane. Some of the stuff that
I had no idea what he was going to do, and then he hit it off. It's almost AJ Styles does that move sometimes, but on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost kind of similar to what Cena does a little bit.
Yeah.
When he sets guys up for the 5 knuckle shuffle, but like off the top rope, which is a lot better. Right. Everything off the top rope is a lot better.
Yeah. So yeah, okay match.
And then we got the Kawato farewell match. So we all know he's going on excursion, and Kawato and Atlantis teamed up to take on Gato and Barbaro Cavernario. I think we talked about the potential that this match could kind of be like a dud. And I kind of think it did live up to that moniker. I didn't think much of it, to be honest.
Yeah, it was okay. There were lots of signs in the crowd for Kawato. They tried to get heat by taking off Atlantis' mask.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal in Mexico. Like, he's the oldest active competitor with his mask still going, and he's won more
mask versus hair.
Bet matches than anybody else there. At this point, if whoever does win his mask, I think we talked about this before, it's going to be like beating the Undertaker streak essentially. So taking his mask off, that's some really heelish crap right there.
Yeah, and there was they brawled on the outside for a while. There was a nice flip dive from Kawato, and Barbaro, he ended up submitting Kawato with his signature hold.
La Cavernaria.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tapped out Kawato, the young boy.
Yeah, this was another short match, 9 minutes and 14 seconds.
It was pretty good. Kawato tried to fire up, and he tried to do he got all the big spots that we've seen him do in the, what was the term?
Young Lions Cup.
Young Lions Cup.
I felt like he did a little bit more.
Yeah, he did some cool stuff. He did that outside flip. That flip plancha, which is to the outside, which I never really seen him do that. That was really cool. He got some cool stuff in, but ultimately I didn't think too much. I was really disappointed. I thought Atlantis was pretty bad actually on literally every match of this whole tour.
Yeah, I mean I don't know if has nagging injuries or just the fact that he's old.
He's old, yeah. Anyone who's seeing him right now, they're not seeing him at his best. I mean, this is. It'd be like trying to show someone the Undertaker right now.
Right, yeah.
It's very similar.
Then next up we had Drone Sobanero Jr., Voldor Jr. taking on Bushi, Takahashi, and Naito.
This was good. This was really good. I mean, I would be surprised to say it wasn't, considering all the talent that was in this match. I thought it was really cool to see, Naito tearing it up with all the juniors.
Right, and of course, at the beginning, LIJ jumped them at the start. Something I noted, I said Naito is full Ingobernables mode here. He's the ungovernable Naito that we come to love and know.
I heard some people trying to say that we're not covering the new the new beginning shows yet. I heard some people saying that maybe he didn't get the crowd reactions that they're used to, but I didn't see any. I mean, granted they were in Corkin,
right?
But I didn't see any of that on these during this tour.
I watched the first new beginning show, and during the Naito match, I heard a reaction, so I'm not quite sure what people are talking about.
People are saying he's damaged because he lost to Okada. I'm not seeing that at all.
I'm not seeing it. We have some news later on Naito that will prove that he's not damaged. And he's just reverting back to the LIJ Naito here. He's putting back the Stardust Genius. As we mentioned, that's kind of been his struggle between being LIJ Naito and Star Genius Naito. And
I liked there was the one spot in this match with Bushi and Drone where they just kept chopping each other. That was freaking awesome.
Yeah. There was also a chop battle between Takahashi and Soberano. Soberano was running wild in this match. He did his spin dive.
Soberano's running wild, brother.
There was a beautiful lion salt too from Soberano.
There's just so many high spots in this stuff. Man, this is crazy. It's crazy how much stuff they do. It's nuts.
And once again, I always keep making notes of this. LIJ just works so well together. It doesn't matter which combination you put, whether it's 2 of them, 3 of them, all 5 of them with Roosh. They are so smooth and work in tandem.
I thought it was interesting to take note that Sonata and Evil were nowhere to be seen on this tour because they were overseas, but it really didn't even feel like they were missing because how cohesive the four of these guys all were together all 3 nights,
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, it felt like LIJ was, in full effect. I mean, this was, for these 3 shows, it was the LIJ show, all tour, basically. These guys were just ruling the roost, you know what I mean?
Right. And then towards the end of the match, Bushi was working over Drone. He hit a low blow and a backslide, and LIJ stole the win here.
I thought that was a good finish. Good way for them to get the cheap heel win. And, they obviously, Drone being the lowest guy on that card, or, on that team, essentially, in terms of stature, made sense, and it was a good win for Bushi.
Yeah. And then we had the semi-main event, Rush versus Satoshi Kojima. They've been building this match the whole tour. What do you think about this match, Josh?
I was more excited for it than it actually ended up being. I thought they built really well to it. And the brawling, like, in the beginning, I thought, I don't know, it just kind of, it ended up being good, but it took a while to kind of get there.
Yeah, it could have been better. Rush, he was choking out Kojima in the
Rush
beginning.
was awesome.
Yeah, choked out Kojima with the cable. Chair shot to the head.
Oh, that chair shot split him open hard way on the back of his head. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I wish I'd kind of like the old school lover in me. I love chair shots, but then there's the part of me that's like, I don't know if someone should be getting hit in the head that freaking hard
right?
Even if it's plastic. Like, obviously, look what happened. This dude got busted open.
Rush did the machine gun chops to Kojima.
Yeah.
But Kojima turned it around, returned the favor. I love the way Rush sells Kojima's machine gun chops.
Oh, you know what? One thing I forgot to mention was in the night before. I don't know if it was Kojima or who it was, but guys kept trying to run into the corner, and it might have been. I think it was Kojima, but maybe it wasn't. They kept making them miss and hit Mima.
Yeah.
That was really funny. Oh man.
Right.
But yeah, so this match was really, it ended up being pretty good. I feel like Rush, I don't know what it is, but like last year he destroyed Atlantis all tour and then killed him at the end with a chair, and like he did the same thing to Kojima. He might have this new like legend killer gimmick where he just shows up in Japan for like for Fantastica Mania just to like
kill
your favorite wrestler,
put him out back like old Yeller.
So yeah, I mean he kind of destroyed Kojima in this match. To be honest, like it was kind of sad. Didn't Kojima go for the lariat at one point and something happened? I can't remember.
Yeah, well, at one point Kojima hit the Koji cutter and a brain buster for a near fall. Kojima's knee, at some point he hurt his knee in this match. It really kind of hindered the match because he couldn't move as well. And then Rush ended up hitting him with the Rush driver, which is a double underhook pile driver.
That move is devastating. I mean, that's one of those moves like you're kind of surprised guys are still using it or hitting it, and he looks so safe when he does it, but I'm still terrified every time I see someone take it.
And then after the match, we had Bushi, Naito, and Takahashi.
Yeah, they came out for the LIJ Love Fest.
Yeah.
Those guys. Rush is like their cool cousin from like out of town who like comes in and takes them out to party with the big kids and like buys them beer. Like,
right.
He's like home from college, like, and he lets these young little LIJ guys like party with him. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was just they're such a cool faction. Like, I know we always like talk crap about like quote unquote cool heels, but they're cool heels,
right?
And but they're real heels all at the same time. Like, they're heels.
Yeah,
like, there's no getting around.
We saw through this tour the way they were beating up Milano.
They get heat, man.
Yeah, so they were getting heat. Nice little celebration here. Then it was the main event of the night.
And just saying, once again, I want to see Rush back in New Japan.
Oh, yeah. I want to see him in the G1.
I would love to see Rush in the G1. Like, I don't care if like someone well deserving gets knocked out.
Yeah.
Like, well,
in Kojima, like I was mentioning, his knee here, he actually ended up tearing his ACL, I believe.
Yeah, so we were going to talk about that. We got a lot of news, coming up, but that is something worth mentioning. So Kojima has, ruptured his ACL or his left ACL, so he's out for a while. Like, that's a very serious injury
especially for somebody at his age.
Right.
So most likely he will not be in G1 this year.
Well, last year they did the storyline where it was Nagata's last G1 run. The year before that, Kojima was supposed to be in the G1, and he gave up his spot for Tenzan, and it was Tenzan's last G1 run. So following that kind of like pattern, you would assume that with the New Japan dads that this may have potentially been Kojima's last G1 run. But I'm wondering now, like, with this happening, are we even going to see him in another G1? And the interesting thing about the G1 and why it is so important, you hear a lot of guys who don't follow New Japan. They wonder why certain guys don't get singles pushes or yada yada. And they don't realize, like, the majority of the matches throughout the year are going to take place in tag matches. So when they get that singles push, it usually does happen during the G1.
Exactly.
This is when you're going to see the most singles matches of the entire year. And so for a legendary wrestler like Kojima, who's got such a storied past in New Japan and then also just wrestling in general in Japan, to see him kind of miss out on that tournament this year, it's kind of disappointing, I suppose. We don't know for sure. I mean, we'll get more coverage once we hear more, but I can't believe that he would be back for the G1 this year.
Yeah. Well, so well wishes out to Kojima. I'm a big Kojima mark, and hope he gets well soon and we can see a little bit more from him before he retires.
It's funny, guys. I was talking with Jeremy the other day, and I was like, I don't understand why you like Kojima so much. Not that I don't like Kojima, because I do, but I thought that Jeremy, like, just started seeing, like, old Kojima was just, like, a mark for him from, like, and I was like, I didn't know that, like, you'd been watching him, like, for a while.
Yeah, and I was first exposed to Kojima during the first launch of MLW, which was in the early 2000s, kind of popped up after ECW went down, and they did a lot of shows in Florida, and they came on at, like, midnight on a random channel. And Kojima was one of their top stars, and he was wrestling guys like Steve Corino and C.W. Anderson, and that was my first exposure to him, and I thought he was awesome then, and I tried to keep up with him ever since then.
See, I knew you didn't watch, like, mid-2000s All Japan, so I was like, you guys see this guy in his prime. Why do you like Kojima so much? I didn't know, like, Oh, you've been watching for a while now.
Yeah, So
all the well wishes to Kojima. I don't know when that knee injury happened in that match. It was a kind of violent match, but
right. I don't know. It seemed like this happened in the middle of the match. I don't know if it just ruptured in the middle of the match somehow. But yeah,
I mean, the fact that he finished that match with that sort of injury is a testament to how tough that guy is.
Yeah,
I mean, crazy.
So on to the main event. It was the finals of their CMLL Hermanos tag team tournament. Ultimo and Gran Guerrero taking on Dragon Lee and Mystico.
Yeah, so I mean, this was the finals that we kind of predicted was most likely to happen, and it made the most sense because you have two of the top up and coming. Well, I mean, I don't even want to say up and coming because they're up there, but
yeah, they're pretty much established.
They're established, but I mean, they're two of the younger stars who are the top baby faces going against two of the top established heels, and all big draws there in Mexico. So I mean, and in Japan. So
both of these teams are over huge.
Yeah, so it made a lot of sense that this is going to be the finish. And Jeremy, run us down.
Something here I had in my notes. I wrote, Mystico is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
There was a lot of great spots from both teams in this match. This match was very fast-paced. The Guerreros, they worked really well together and had a lot of great teamwork in this match. Oh, there was an insane dive Rana spot from the crowd, which I marked out for. There was a chop battle between Dragon Lee and Gran Guerrero, which was pretty intense. Top there was a top rope over the dive Rana spot from Dragon Lee.
Mystico and Dragon Lee when they did the double plancha to the outside.
Yeah, double flips. Yeah, have that double flips in stereo. There was top rope Ranas, top rope power bomb. Gran Guerrero did a flip move to the outside.
There was like a lot of reversals too. A lot of times where you thought someone was going to get something, they would reverse it into a Rana, or reverse it into a power bomb. So there's a lot of like guys getting cut off and stopped and that sort of thing. Just really awesome momentum shifts throughout the match.
Yeah, there was a standing catching Spanish fly from Dragon Lee.
And a lot of the near falls were very believable. There's a lot of times where they kind of popped me because I kept thinking that this was going to be the finish. Oh, that's going to be the finish. And it seemed like they were just kicking at everything, just showing, how hungry both these teams were to be named like the Best Brothers Tag Team.
Right, yeah. And then coming on to the end of the match, Ultimo Guerrero, he did a top rope reverse suplex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Guerrero special on Mystico. And Ultimo and Gran Guerrero win in 18 minutes and 40 seconds. They are the best brother tag team in CMLL.
And they beat him clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really, really good match. That was the match of the night. I didn't necessarily think it was as good as the Volador Barbero Cavernario match or the top two title matches from the first night, but right up there with those matches. I mean, all around, like, a fantastic finish to a really awesome tour once again. And yeah, this was really, really good.
Yeah, so highly recommend that you check out some of these top matches that we highlighted here from CMLL's Fantastica Mania. Great show. Looking forward to watching more CMLL and hoping some of these guys come back for Best of the Super Juniors and the G1.
So, and then afterwards they did a send-off for Kawato, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, so also we don't really have the translation of what the promos were, but pretty much it was a send-off. They gave Kawato the mic, assuming he was saying, goodbye and that he's going to do his best in CMLL. And actually, he's making his debut. You're listening to this on Tuesday, January 30th. He's making his debut today.
Yeah, on the 30th. So he's going to be wrestling at Arena Mexico. The match is Fuego, Triton, and Aduez, whoever that is. It's a 6-man tag taking on Raziel, Cancerbero, I don't even know how to announce his name, and Kawato. And the interesting thing here is Kawato is working heel in this match.
Right.
And he's making his official CMLL debut, in Mexico. So, they got him working heel.
That's very interesting. I thought, Kawato, he was pushed as a babyface in New Japan. I would think that they would keep him as a babyface.
I think it's great. I don't know if this is going to be a forever established character. I mean, a lot of guys do, from Japan do tend to go over there and work other, personas, learn how to work both sides, which is, great. Plus, you always hear the old adage, it's easier to work heel.
Yeah.
So that might play into it. But, it's exciting to see what's going to happen with, Kawato in CMLL and what he's going to learn and how he's going to progress as a performer going down there,
Right. All right, so let's keep on going. We have a lot more news to cover.
Well, I want to talk about Kawato.
All right, yeah. Go ahead.
So, there have been a lot of speculations about, basically what's going to happen with Kawato, and I feel like this is a good time to kind of talk about it because obviously he is leaving.
Right. There's been a lot of rumblings on whether when he comes back, if he would take on a new Liger persona, whether that be a Liger 2 or a Super Liger kind of gimmick.
I think that part of the reason why is because in the past there have been people for instance, Mizawa or Koji Kanemoto who have worked under the Tiger Mask gimmick, and kind of establish themselves that way, and then eventually taking off the mask. Whereas, in modern times, the new Tiger Mask 4, he's never taken the mask off, so he's kind of just established his whole, character and career under that gimmick. But people see the potential in Kawato so much so that I think that they do assume that maybe he could be one. I think it's high praise, because when we think of a guy like, Keiji Yamada, who is Jushin Thunder Liger, who's worked his whole entire career under that gimmick, the fact that they think that, I think people have wondered who could possibly ever replace him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or who could ever truly don the Tiger Mask gimmick again and, live up to like the standards of like, Satoru Sayama. And this is a guy that I think the fans see where maybe he could be that.
Right. And it'd be very interesting. I mean, it's also a potential maybe he could be another Tiger Mask.
I've heard both sides of the story, where there's people who are like, I don't want to see him come back under a mask. You hear a lot of people talk about how great this dude's facial expressions are. You know what I mean?
Right. He's great at selling.
Yeah, he's an awesome seller, and he's a great storyteller. One thing, though, if you ever watch a match with a lot of these luchadors who work under the mask, what they learn how to do, talking about a guy like Fuego, for instance, or like Liger, they know how to tell the story using body language.
Right.
Not all wrestlers know how to do that, and it's something where if someone who's worked under a mask, like, for instance, like a Hiromu Takahashi, he knows how to do it. We always talk about the swag and how he's got this it. I think it comes from the fact that he worked as Kamitachi for so long under the mask before he did demask. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they did put him under a mask, at least at some point when he's in Mexico. Now, if he comes back and he dons a new gimmick that way, I mean, I don't know.
Right. And there's also a possibility maybe he even joins LIJ. Maybe he joins LI in CMLL and then comes back and joins LIJ in Japan.
Maybe. I'm wondering how long he's going to be gone, to be honest. I mean, he's very young.
Right. I mean, he could be there for
a
couple of years.
I know Takahashi was there for a while. That kind of brings up the point, of all the different excursion points and partnerships that New Japan has. Almost none have been as successful as CMLL's partnership with them. I mean, you just look at the list of guys that have spent time down there and really established their character. You got Tanahashi has spent time down there, Nakamura, Naito, Yoshihashi, Taguchi, Tamatanga, Yujiro, Gato, Jado, Y2J's been there even though he wasn't with New Japan, Goto, Hiromu Takahashi, Liger, Bushi. The list goes on and on, Sho and Yo. So, I mean, that's a pretty extensive list of guys who've gone there. And, I mean, I don't know a single person on that list that I would sit back and say can't work or,
Right. I mean, all those are top guys, top workers. So, I mean, I'm expecting great things that come of this excursion for Kawato. I'm expecting him to be there for a while. And when he comes back, he's going to be a superstar.
I mean, they see him, we've talked about before, they say he's the ace of the young boys. He's like the senpai, and he has the most like responsibilities as far as like leading the class. And so I think they're putting a lot of faith and a lot of trust in him right now. And I don't know what plans they do or don't have for him. I think at this point, anyone who talks about it is just speculating. But the fact that there are so many people speculating about what he can and can't do or will or won't be just goes to show you like how much hype there is behind what he's gonna do while he's away and the anticipation for when he does come back. And I mean, with his size, he very well could be that guy that takes the mantle from Kushida as being like the crown jewel of the junior division when he comes back.
Right. I mean, that could be a great opportunity to move Kushida to heavyweight and let Kawato run with the junior division.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're very excited. I am going to be I'm a little disappointed. It's bittersweet because we're not going to be able to get to see Kawato quite as often. But when he does come back, I'm sure we're going to see him, really showcased in New Japan. And I'm excited for that for sure.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about Long Beach, Josh. So New Japan's coming back to Long Beach. We mentioned this March 25th at the Long Beach at the Walter Pyramid. Tickets went on sale today and sold out in 20 minutes.
So we're not going then, huh?
I guess not.
Unless we want to buy those tickets on crazy markup.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I don't even know. You think like the people that are buying them out that quick, you think that they're fans who are going for sure, or you think it's like
I would say
ticket scalpers?
I would say majority are probably fans who are going, and then I'm sure there's going to be ticket scalpers in there. I need to follow up. I have a buddy that lives in California. Shout out Cam Evans.
I didn't know Cam lived in.
Yeah, he lives in California now. We went to college together, but he's out there in California. He goes to PWG all the time. And I knew that he was looking to get these tickets, so I need to follow up with him, see if he got the tickets. Maybe he can be our correspondent for that show. And something interesting about the Strong Style Evolved show here, it's not going to be airing live on New Japan World if you are from the U.S.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it will air live in Japan and Canada and the rest of the world. So that seems like that means it's going to air live on AXS TV again like it did last year when they were in Long Beach.
Well, they talked about that. Mark Cuban did, where he said that they were paying to do more live shows and that sort of thing. So I'm assuming at this point that must be what he must have been talking about.
Right. And so, I mean, the show will be available for U.S. subscribers after it's aired live. But stay tuned. They haven't given all the details for that yet.
I mean, I think that's somewhat exciting for that they're going to air this show live on AXS is a really big deal. Again, I know I got to see the show live last time on AXS. I think I might have watched it with Rich, actually. I can't remember. But yeah, I watched it on AXS, which is really cool. But then now I'm in a position where I don't have access right now. So that does kind of maybe limit how many people can watch it.
Right, and especially after Wrestle Kingdom, we've had this surge of New Japan World subscribers. You think this would be another great show for all those new subscribers to check out.
Well, I mean, we're going to go over the numbers here in a little bit, but if anything, that we've seen recently, like the numbers are just going up on both AXS viewing as well as New Japan subscriptions. So, I mean, if someone can't see it live, I have very little doubt that they're not going to tune in like the next day and watch it on delay. You know what I mean?
Right.
If they can, but that is a huge incentive for people who don't have access to maybe like try to find a way to get it, or if you do have access to tune in, because that's going to be destination viewing. Like,
right.
Right now we don't know the full card, but I mean the big named match that's being rumored is Chris Jericho and Naito, and I mean that's a huge match.
Yeah, that's a huge match. Josh, one thing I want to know is what they're going to do with the commentary here.
You know what they're going to do?
Well, for the AXS Long Beach shows last year, they had JR and Josh Barnett.
That's what they're going to do.
But if they're putting this on New Japan World, I'm wondering if they run a separate feed with Kelly and Cyrus, and then on the replay use Kelly and Cyrus.
Did they do that last time for the G1 special?
I don't think they did. I think they just ran the JR and Josh Barnett, but hey, I love JR. I'm an Attitude Era kid. Grew up during the Attitude Era. JR is, one of the best commentators of all time. But when it comes to New Japan, I personally prefer Kevin Kelly and Cyrus.
Hey, I think it's been well documented the struggles and issues that they had during the live commentary of the Long Beach show last year. Many people, with both Josh Barnett and Jim Ross, but Jim Ross especially, there was many gripes and complaints. I mean, it was something that the New Japan community and fan base had a lot of misgivings and, qualms, to kind of state regarding that. So, I mean, it was something that a lot of people had problems with, for sure.
Yeah. So, speaking of, AXS TV, the January 6th episode of New Japan on AXS TV was the most watched episode of the show in history.
Which show was that? That was for Kenny and Y2J?
That was a show, the 3-hour special.
Oh, just the special?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And so the old record would have been the July 1st live show from Long Beach. So the Wrestle Kingdom special beat out the Long Beach special.
That's amazing. I mean, yeah, because that was their most watched show up until that point was the Long Beach special. So basically what you're saying is that even though, granted, I understand it was, on tape delay. I mean, it was only a 3-day delay. Right. But still, essentially, that wasn't live viewing. That was a tape delayed show beating something that was live just the year prior.
So I think even though there was a huge spike in New Japan World subscribers, you still had a large fan base who weren't sure they wanted to get another subscription service, and so they had AXS. They're like, I'm just gonna wait and watch it on AXS. I know Doc Chad Matthews, shout out to the Doc. I know he's one of those guys who watched the AXS special.
I know Caleb Matthews was another one.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, several of our friends and colleagues and acquaintances and people like that kind of had that same, thought process. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so moving on.
That's a big deal though.
Yeah.
Just that many. We don't have the official numbers yet, but that I know that they did good numbers for the Long Beach show. So that many people tuned in for a tape delayed Wrestle Kingdom viewing it is awesome.
Right. So just imagine what the live Strong Style Evolve show could possibly do
with Y2J Live. They'll break that number.
Yeah.
Against Naito, they'll break that number.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind. You know what this would be a good time for, because we didn't do it, because we've only got one day left anyways, is the t-shirt spot.
Yes. So, guys, there's only one day left to enter in the Social Suplex Podcast Network t-shirt giveaway. We want to give you guys a wrestling t-shirt, and here's how it works. Go to the Social Suplex Podcast Network on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher. Leave a rating and review. Once you submitted that review, take a screenshot of it and email it to me, Jeremy at socialsuplex.com. That's JEREMY at socialsuplex.com. Or you can DM it to me on Facebook or Twitter if you follow me there. So send me the review so I can see that you've submitted it, and then you'll be entered into a drawing to win a wrestling t-shirt of your choice. It can be from WWE Shop, Ring of Honor, Pro Wrestling Tees, or whatever shirt you want. There's the hot new Braun Strowman Get These Hands shirt. There's a Rusev Day shirt, a new Matt Hardy Delete shirt. There's a lot of new Kenny Omega shirts. So whatever shirt you want, if you win, send me your contact information and we will send you out the shirt. So help us get over, and we will help you get a wrestling t-shirt. And there have been a lot of ratings and reviews coming in for that.
Yeah, so guys, we want to buy you stuff. Leave us a review. We're willing to pay you for the review.
All right, what else you got, Josh?
So there's quite a bit in news that's gone on. I kind of thought that between the last couple shows we did that not much was really going on, but as the past weeks poured in, there's been a lot of news. So we're just gonna kind of skim over a lot of this. We made mention earlier a couple episodes back that Tetsuya Naito is coming to the U.S. in February. So this is just a few weeks away. He's going to be doing a 3-night tour on the 16th, the 17th, and 18th. He's going to be wrestling in Dayton, Ohio for the Wrestling Revolver promotion. They've announced all the different opponents now, so he's going to be taking on Michael Elgin the first night, which I love the name of this show. It's called Naito Takes Dayton.
Nice.
Freaking
nice.
Awesome. And then the next night, he's going to Chicago, Illinois to wrestle for AAW, and he will be taking on Sami Callihan. So these are two guys that, not super unfamiliar with. They've both been in New Japan, both big names on the indie scene, and obviously him and Elgin had that 5-star match last year at New Beginning, and the great matches they had the year before that in 2016. And then on the final night, for the first time ever, he's taking on AR Fox for Glory Pro in St. Louis, Missouri. So he's going to be all over, that section of the U.S. But the interesting thing here is every single one of these shows is completely sold out.
Right. So for those saying, Naito is not a draw anymore, and he's been hurt from the Wrestle Kingdom loss, he just sold out 3 shows in the U.S.
Yeah, and these are pretty big venues that they're running. I mean, they're not like super arenas or anything like that, but I mean, like, they sold out like almost immediately once they released the tickets for these cards. And I mean, if you follow indie wrestling, I mean, we go to a lot of indie shows. I can't think of any that I've gone to that have been sold out for anything. Top guys will be there, Matt Riddle, things like that. And yeah, they're not sold out. And Naito coming over from overseas. Now, granted, this isn't Japan, and granted, these all happen. They probably did sell out before Wrestle Kingdom, but even still, I mean, this guy is one of the hottest commodities in wrestling today, and he's still that way in Japan. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him winning MVP for a 3rd year in a row this year, just to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Repro High Stakes just happened. We kind of talked about that. Suzuki Gun was taking Suzuki Gun, which is the team of Minoru Suzuki and
Zack Sabre Jr.
Zack Sabre Jr. were taking on Mustache Mountain, so we got a WWF versus New Japan match there, which is pretty awesome. I haven't seen the match yet, but I've read nothing but glowing reviews.
Yeah, same here. I haven't had a chance to watch the match, but yeah, I've been hearing great things about it.
Many of the ratings I'm seeing are around the 4.5-star mark, so that's very high. They said it's going to be one of the best tag team matches you're going to see this year. And Suzuki Gun actually dethroned Mustache Mountain and took the Rev Pro British Tag Team Championship. So that's pretty awesome. LIJ also competed that evening, and that match, the match that they were in from Rev Pro High Stakes, is actually on New Japan World right now, so you can watch that. And Ospreay also won that night as well, and he competed against Mandrews of TNA fame, and
Cruiserweight Classic.
Part of the Cruiserweight Classic.
Excuse me, he wasn't in the Cruiserweight Classic. He was in the UK tournament. My bad. Yeah,
the UK tournament. I made the same mistake. So I mean, that's some big news coming out of the Rev Pro High Stakes show, and all around it seemed like that was a great show. So it's one that I'm looking forward to catching. In March, we have a rare U.S. Appearance of Jushin Thunder Liger. He's going to be wrestling, I believe, in San Francisco, but definitely in California for Pro Wrestling Revolution. So, Liger's making an appearance in March. Who knows if he'll be doing any other dates, but that's pretty exciting. We just had Muda, at PCW, and, and that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's a cool time here in the U.S., especially seems like out there in SoCal where a lot of these New Japan guys are making it.
Right. Well, it's not too bad of a flight from California to Japan and vice versa. So that's definitely an easy travel for them. I mean,
relatively speaking.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's way different if they were coming.
I've made that flight. It's like 16 hours still.
Yeah. It's not like they're. I mean, it's worse. They're flying here to like Tampa, Florida. It'd be an even longer flight. But California is not too bad, and there's a lot of hot promotions there.
So let's talk about the All In, event that has been announced. We keep bringing coverage. It seems like little by little the news is leaking here and there. So recently on an episode of Being the Elite, they did a kind of a funny spot where all the guys came out wearing different jerseys of different sports teams, alluding to the idea of what the official site for this is going to be. And so we've got New York as being one of the teased places that they might do this show in, LA being another one, Chicago, and then Cleveland. And so those must be, like, from what they're saying and what they're like supposing, those are the 4 main sites, and those are all big, hubs where we've talked about, like, in order for this show to draw the way that they think it's going to draw or want it to draw and to be the success it has to be in a metropolitan area similar to these types of areas. So I mean, that's pretty big. But the cool thing is Cody was recently on social media, like on Twitter, and he mentioned someone had said it would be cool to do a convention. He said that they're thinking about doing a multi-day fan convention, kind of like WrestleCon.
Dude, that would be awesome. So Josh, if this show ends up being on the East Coast, are we going to be all in?
Are we going to, I don't know, it's in September?
Yeah.
I don't know. We might. I mean, I can I can get out to Chicago or Cleveland or New York. That's no problem for me.
Yeah. It sounds like we're going to be all in if it's on the East Coast.
It really just depends. Like, are we going to get Neville or are we not getting Neville? Like, that's what I need to know. We getting Daniel Bryan or we not?
Well, if Neville can get his contract unfrozen and get it to run out in time.
Don't even get me started on that. So we have another show coming up pretty soon, the annual Honor Rising event from Ring of Honor in New Japan. That's going to be taking place February 23rd and 24th. And I don't know if they've done this in the past, but they did announce that they're going to be having English commentary.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they had English commentary the last Honor Rising tour they did, but definitely looking forward to having that.
Yeah, so I mean that's big news. Obviously, if you've already caught New Beginning this past weekend, you realize that they do have English commentary as well. But yeah, all those shows have English commentary for the big ones. Are they going to be having a Road to New Beginning show here in the next few weeks?
Yes, there is. There's going to be a Road to. I actually have the New Japan World schedule through April 1st. So on February 5th and February 6th from Corrigan Hall, you're going to have the Road to New Beginning shows in Osaka. They're starting at 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then you will have the New Beginning in Osaka on February 10th at 3 a.m. Like you mentioned, the two joint Ring of Honor shows, Honor Rising, those are February 23rd and 24th at Corrigan Hall, also starting at 4:30 a.m. live. All 5 of these February shows will have English commentary. The 46th anniversary show is happening March 6th at Ottawa War Gym in Tokyo, starting at 5 a.m. The first day of the New Japan Cup tournament is going to be March 9th at Corrigan Hall at 4:30 a.m.
God.
Second day of New Japan Cup is going to be March 10th in Nagoya, 4:30 a.m. The other New Japan Cup tournament shows are March 15th and 16th at Corrigan Hall, both starting at 5:30 a.m. There's another New Japan Cup show on March 18th at 2 a.m. And then the New Japan Cup Championship match will be March 21st in Nagoya at 2 a.m. The only March show with English commentary will be the March 21st show, the Championship Cup, which is the biggest show of the month.
Oh, the anniversary show doesn't have English commentary?
No.
Little surprised about that. Well, they didn't last year, but I feel like this year they've been making an effort to do more of the big shows that way. So It's a little surprising, but that's okay. So I mean, yeah. So the Road to New Beginning shows will not have English commentary, but the New Beginning in Sapporo is coming up, right?
Right.
And that one will have it.
Right. And then also wrapping up this schedule, there'll be a Corrigan Hall show on March 30th at 5:30 a.m. Sakura Genesis will have English commentary, and that's going to be April 1st, 3 a.m. And, they might end up adding English commentary to the March 30th show.
Man, it's crazy those guys are making those flights over to Japan like so often.
Right. And well, for the New Beginning, the Road to New Beginnings, Cyrus will not be on those shows. He's only going to be on the New Beginning in Osaka. It's going to be Kevin Kelly, and he mentioned he'll have a special...
For what show?
For the two the two Road to shows.
Oh, so they are going to have English commentary for the Road to shows.
Yeah. The February 6th.
I was mistaken. That's what I said earlier. I didn't realize. I thought
the March shows, yeah. Or not. The only March show is the New Japan Cup.
But for Road to New Beginning, they're having English commentary.
Yeah,
I didn't realize.
February 5th and 6th will be English commentary.
Wow.
I think it's going to be Kevin Kelly and Rocky Romero probably. Kevin Kelly was teasing somebody in the company would be doing commentary with him.
Hopefully not
Yoshitatsu.
Oh my god. Anyways, so some other news. So there had been speculation that this would be the case, but it's now been confirmed by Ring of Honor that for their Supercard of Honor during WrestleMania weekend, Kota Ibushi is officially signed for that show, and we're going to be there. So we're looking very much forward to seeing him, and Kenny Omega will also be there. We'll get more into this next week, but there is news that Tanahashi is injured right now. Obviously, that's no secret. We've been talking about it for a while. but with some of the angles that they ran this past weekend and also the different injuries and ailments, it is in doubt. He was originally announced for Supercard of Honor as well as the Rev Pro show and some other dates during
also the Australia tour.
And the Australia tour. So he's definitely off this tour currently, and I think
he's off the Australia tour.
He's off the Australia tour, okay. And from what it sounds like, based on the way they're making it sound, is like we might not see him till G1, if not maybe after that. Like,
right.
He's taking a long time off, which is well deserved.
He needs to.
Yeah. I mean, there is this part of me, I mean, we talked about in previous episodes where like we bought those Rev Pro tickets solely because we were going to see Tanahashi there. And Rev Pro did say that they're going to be making some announcements here in the next few days regarding that show. So I'm wondering if it has something to do with Tanahashi no longer being on the card.
And, I mentioned this in one of our group threads. I'm like, if Tanahashi's out for WrestleMania weekend, more than likely New Japan will have to send a better replacement. So what if we get Okada or Naito showing up at Rev Pro and Supercard of Honor?
Man, that would be... Send Ishii, man.
Yeah, they could.
Send Ishii, that's what I want.
Or they could send Minoru Suzuki.
No, send Ishii. Send Ishii. So, yeah, so that's... kind of what's going on with that. They're also on the New Japan Pro Wrestling Aussie tour that's coming up. The Mighty Don't Kneel, which we're going to need to get some more information on this, because up until this point, I was always under the impression that TM61 was basically the Mighty Don't Kneel.
Right, that's what so same here.
Yeah, but apparently like that name continued with another group, and I think now, hey guys, if I'm wrong, you can, flame me on the message boards or whatever, Twitterverse, whatever, I don't know. But I think Juicy Gambino and Slex, who had that match with Okada, they're part of that faction. I could be wrong.
Actually, I think I have it here.
You know who's part of the Mighty Don't Kneel?
So it looks like it's Slex, Damian Slater, Marquise Pitt, and Jonah Rock.
Okay, so I was wrong. My bad. So
Gambino is part of the Bullet Club.
I know. I don't know if he's even really part of the Bullet Club, bro. I know. Okay, yeah. So Jeremy sent me this video where like Bad Luck Fale gave a shirt to Gambino, and he's quote unquote part of the Bullet Club. How can you really be part of the Bullet Club if you are never with the Bullet Club? And does Fale even have the authority to make decisions like that? I really I know he's an OG, but I don't know if he really has the authority to make that sort of decision.
Right.
To me, that's like Bryan Adams inviting someone into the NWO. Does that hold any weight?
No.
No, it doesn't. I don't know that
man.
Or if the Giant had invited someone into the NWO, would that have mattered? I don't know. I don't think so. So, but yeah, so anyway, so the Mighty Don't Kneel are officially signed for the New Japan Aussie tour.
Yeah, and they challenged the Bullet Club.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. We're not too big up on the Australian wrestling scene, and I don't think very many Western fans really are, to be honest.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, we've got this crew out there that's challenging the Bullet Club, if there even is a Bullet Club. We'll see, but that's kind of cool. So they are officially signed for the Australia tour, so that should be pretty interesting. The last week prior to this show running, they had run the free match of the week on New Japan Pro or New Japan World. They were running the match with Liger versus Black Tiger, which is Eddie Guerrero from February 3rd, 1996.
That puny guy.
I had to tell Vince he was the Mexican Shawn Michaels in order to sign him. But anyway, so that was a 4-star match that they were running as the free match of the week. That's something definitely worth checking out. I think they aired that because of Fantastica Mania. This week they're actually running the match between Evil and Goto from Power Struggle in 2015, which also is supposed to be a pretty good match. So
nice.
Check that out. That's free. For those of you who are non-subscribers to New Japan World, you can watch that for free. You don't even have to subscribe. It's on YouTube. So, and let's talk about Y2J.
Yes.
Let's talk about some WWE for a minute.
The Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla, Chris Jericho, the Alpha.
The finesser of the year.
Was on the Raw 25 episode, showed up in a Alpha Club t-shirt.
Yo, so I listened to the show last week and you said, I hope he shows up in the Alpha Club shirt. And I said, that's not happening. And you're like, I know, but I want it to.
Right. I don't care. I want him to show up in an Alpha Club t-shirt. And that's what he did.
He did.
He got his merch over on the most watched Raw episode in a long time. Over 4 million viewers saw Chris Jericho in an Alpha.
5? Wasn't it like 5?
No, it was over 4 million.
Oh, man. It still did big numbers.
It still big numbers. Jericho got his Alpha Club t-shirt there. Pretty much he looked just like Alpha Chris Jericho, but he kind of reverted back to the list Jericho.
Yeah, he put the Drifter on the list. And this man is amazing, bro. The fact that he's simultaneously getting 2 paychecks from the 2 biggest wrestling companies in the entire world. Shout out to our friends Rich and James from One Nation Radio. A few years ago, I don't even know how long ago it was, but we started talking about Jeff Jarrett being the greatest finesser.
Yeah.
And, because finesse became like this term that just kind of became part of pop culture. And so we started talking about finessers in wrestling, guys that were able to kind of come in and just finesse their way into situations that no one else could really get into. And I mean, dude, Y2J might be finesser of the year right now. This man.
Easily.
Like, this guy's amazing. Like, this dude just headlined the freaking Tokyo Dome, and now he's on Raw 25, putting people on the list, getting his New Japan merch over. Like, what other worker can... I mean, we already talked about it. What other worker could just leave WWE, be on good terms with them, and go work New Japan? But then who can just come back and just show up?
At this point, there's nobody else that can do that.
Nobody. So, I mean, we watched that show. We won't get into it, but I was definitely disappointed by that show. I mean, we don't have to have a whole 1 week ago we were watching that show, and I mean, I was definitely disappointed. But Y2J being on that show was a big, I marked out for that moment. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So, yeah, and we didn't even know if he was really going to show up.
Right, because there was this whole speculation of the WWE kind of announced him without a deal being finalized.
Yeah. And I mean, how much do you think that dude... I mean, like, Y2J's not cheap, man. Like, this guy's getting paid.
Yeah, he is.
So, that was awesome. Hats off to the Alpha. Getting himself over. This dude's amazing. And then some more WWE news. So, from this past weekend, Shinsuke Nakamura...
The King of Strong Style.
The King of Strong Style, man.
Won the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, bro. So, so he went in a 6-5 odds-on favorite. That's 54.55% for you non-gambling fans out there. So, those are some pretty high odds. And, the second highest odds favorite was Roman Reigns. And that was a fantastic match. Like, it's one of the best Royal Rumbles I've ever seen.
It was booked beautifully. I was on the edge of my seat during that Final Four with Nakamura, Roman, Finn, and Cena. It was great to see the Nakamura and Finn showdown. We had a little Chaos versus Bullet Club showdown there.
Yeah, we ended up with 2 of the biggest stars from New Japan against 2 of the biggest WWE stars. It's kind of surreal to watch that happening in a WWE ring like that. And then there's been so much mishandling of Nakamura this year. Like, I don't watch the weekly program like Jeremy does and some of the other guys in the Social Suplex Network, but I've seen what they've done with him, and I mean, it pisses me off to no end because I'm not like the biggest oh, this guy should have gone over, or this guy got buried. I understand it's a business, whatever, but when you have a dude that you can just print money off of, he's one of the most marketable stars that has ever lived, and you've got money sitting on the table and you just set it on fire. That's what they've been doing all year with Nakamura. It's pissed me off to no end. And then they're finally going to pull the trigger with him. Oh man, I can't tell you how. I've never been that nervous for
a
Royal Rumble.
I marked out so hard when Nakamura eliminated Roman. And then
I did too. Bro, I was right here in Strong Style Studios. I was sick as a dog, and as soon as it happened, I popped. I was running around the room. I was like, he did it! He did it! He did it!
Yeah, me.
I was like, he did it!
Me, James, and Rich over at the Donovan Dojo. We were jumping up and down, high-fiving, celebrating. And then we popped even more when they asked him who he wants to challenge. He said AJ Styles.
Yes.
So we're getting a Wrestle Kingdom rematch on WrestleMania.
And I thought that, I know everyone else disagrees, like that year when they wrestled, most people preferred the Tanahashi Okada match. I preferred and maybe it's because I'm a bigger mark for these guys, but I preferred the Nakamura AJ match. I thought it was a better match in the long run. I mean, it was near 5 stars. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was a great match. I recently watched that a few weeks ago, and man.
So, for the first time in, I don't know how many years, I'm suddenly excited for a title. I know it's not going to main event, but I'm very excited for a title match at WrestleMania.
I'm excited for WrestleMania season in general.
Yeah, we're going to be there.
We're going to be in New Orleans.
We might see Nakamura.
Right, we might see a lot of guys.
We might see AJ.
Especially if we go to Wale Mania on Thursday. A lot of guys hit that up.
Also, Asuka, I mean, she wasn't a New Japan star, but I mean, big weekend for Puroresu just in general. I mean, Asuka winning the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, one of the most decorated champions in Stardom history, and Joshi in general. So, I mean, I was kind of shocked that they put over 2 Japanese stars. I don't think any Japanese star has ever won the Royal Rumble unless you count Yokozuna.
No. Yeah.
So, I mean, hats off to the King of Strong Style. I hope, I don't even know what his WrestleMania entrance is going to be like.
It's going to be amazing.
If it's anything like his Wrestle Kingdom entrances, I'm just going to mark out so freaking hard. You have no idea. A couple other just very small news stories, nothing big. There's a write-up very recently of Tomoaki Hanma. I think I said that right. I could be saying it wrong, but everyone knows, Hanma is kind of like the underdog of New Japan, and he was injured, nearly paralyzed last year, and he was recently visiting local children in the hospital. Really inspiring story and a good interview with him, and that's on the New Japan website. You definitely want to check that out. Also, the New Japan shop just came out with a bunch of new merchandise, a bunch of new LIJ merchandise. Really cool stuff. So if you get a chance, be sure to check that out. And then there was some really interesting news. I don't know what we're going to say about this, but 2 recent negotiations that were going on in New Japan. So the first one we'll talk about Bobby Lashley, former WWE star, former MMA star, Bellator, Strikeforce alumni, and most recently a big star in TNA or Impact or whatever you want to call it. And for the past few years, been one of their predominant
top guy,
top guys, top champions. And it looks like now he is on. Well, his contract's up. He's done with TNA. He's on his way most likely to WWE. But the news just recently came out that he had been in talks with New Japan. So another guy, I mean, we just talked about Bill Goldberg just a couple weeks ago. Obviously, there's been a huge exodus of signings. We saw
EC3 showed up at TakeOver.
Yeah, we saw EC3 from TNA go to WWE. We also obviously talked about, Hanson and Rowe, War Machine, and Ricochet, and, Candice LeRae, and all these other stars. So, but Lashley was wanting to come to New Japan. I don't know why the, conversations fell apart. I'm assuming maybe it had something to do with money.
I'm sure. I'm sure they don't see Lashley as big of a star as probably as Lashley thinks he is.
I feel like maybe he would have been a huge star in New Japan.
I mean, he could be, but maybe as far as money-wise, maybe he was trying to get some Jericho money, and he's not on that level.
I don't know. It would have been really cool to see him there, but I mean, it was interesting to note that this is an interesting time, ladies and gentlemen who are listening, where people are not just clamoring to automatically go to the machine that is WWE when they leave some of these other promotions.
Right.
They're at the same time simultaneously having the discussion, having the talk with New Japan.
Right. I mean, it's a very viable option for these guys, especially with Chris Jericho coming in there. So a lot of former WWE stars are actually looking at New Japan as an option. And I mean, I think a guy like Bobby Lashley would have done great in New Japan. He would have been a great heavyweight competitor.
Yeah. I mean, look at a big guy like Bob Sapp, how well he did. I mean, Bobby Lashley's not that much smaller than him, and I mean, he's around the same size as Brock Lesnar.
And I mean, Bobby Lashley has gotten a ton better since his WWE run. And so I think he would have some really solid matches in New Japan.
Not just that, but I mean, he can really wrestle. But he also has that MMA background, and I mean, he would have been a natural fit stylistically to, the strong style, wrestling that they do in New Japan. I mean, He would have fit right into that mold.
He's a guy that they could have put in some never open weight title matches with.
I see him as a headliner. I mean, that he could be doing IWGP title matches and everything on that level.
Could be the U.S. champ.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a little disappointed that we're not going to see Lashley. Surprisingly, at one point I wouldn't have even said that. I probably wouldn't have even cared. I would have said, Bobby Lashley. But I mean, the guy's good. But here's the more bizarre thing. I don't know if any of you guys caught this story this past week, but apparently we were this close to getting Hulk Hogan back in New Japan as an official member of the Bullet Club.
I don't even know what to say to that.
This is one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard of in my life.
Well, I think Hogan, pretty much all he knows is the wrestling business. And I know he's probably dying to get back to WWE, but the sponsors are not going to approve of Hogan coming back anytime soon because of
WWE.
Yeah, because of what he said. And so I feel like Hogan's trying to find any way he can get back into business. He's already kind of burned bridges with TNA, so I don't expect him back there anytime soon, and definitely don't expect to see him in Ring of Honor. So I mean, New Japan, he's had a history there. They would still see him as a huge star in New Japan, so it doesn't surprise me that he was trying.
He's one of the biggest stars. I mean, people don't really tend to truly grasp or understand the magnitude of star. I mean, yeah, it's Hulk Hogan. We all know how big a star he is, but in Japan, there may have never at any point been a more over Gaijin star. I mean, we're talking Hansen level, but Hansen was there for so many years and he was revered as this monster. Hogan was a superstar. They saw him as a wrestling god. As crazy as that sounds, I mean, this dude he had a best-selling album over there with his LP. Hulk Hogan is a legend of New Japan, believe it or not. Just go watch how over he was in the 80s and in the 90s. Even in 2003, his match with Chono, the dude is just a mega star in Japan, and people don't realize it. With that being said, I don't know what he would have done. I don't think he would have wrestled, but I mean, Can you imagine Hulk Hogan being part of the freaking Bullet Club?
I mean, I guess he'd just be kind of like a manager, a spokesman for them.
I don't know. I saw some interviews related to this where Nick and Matt Jackson said that for both of them, Hulk Hogan is both of their favorite wrestler of all time, and they said their dream was to bring him into the Tokyo Dome and to walk down the aisle with all their belts doing the air guitar.
Right.
And they're that would just be an ultimate mark out moment for them. And Tama Tonga has talked about this. Kenny's talked about this. Nick and Matt have talked about this all at different times over the past year. I never really put too much thought into it. I don't know why. I read those reports where people had mentioned it. I didn't realize there was real backstage negotiations going on.
Yeah, very interesting. And it's just weird. It's
such a bizarre thought
to think I'm having a hard time just picturing Hogan walking out there in a Bullet Club shirt doing the air guitar. And
it would, in a way, it would kind of fit because of Hogan's NWO background persona, but in another way where, in theory, that sounds great. But when you think about the actuality of what it would be, how weird would that be to see this old Hulk Hogan just strutting down? Wouldn't it just seem like another Hogan where another thing that Hogan just does where he shoehorns himself into a hot angle and just tries to get himself over again and make himself relevant? I don't think I'd really be a big fan of this, to be honest with you.
Yeah, same here, and especially if he did try to wrestle another match.
He did say something recently where he said he was doing an interview and he's like, I'll tell you what, brother. He's like, I'm getting ready to hop on a plane and go to Japan and hang out. He's like, I'm so excited about them Bullet Club kids. And I was like, what the heck?
Well, remember, Josh, he wants the IWGP title. The WWE title, that's a trinket. That's a toy you put on the Christmas tree. He wants the belt. He wants the IWGP Heavyweight Championship.
Do you know what's funny about Hogan is he thinks he's the first IWGP champion.
Really?
Yeah, he thinks he is. He's not. He won the first tournament, and the belt that became the first IWGP belt, he did hold, but it was like a trophy. He never defended it. It wasn't an actual world title.
Right.
But he doesn't know that. Like, when you talk to Hogan, he's like, yeah, I'm the first IWGP world champion. And like, no, you're not.
No, you're not, brother.
You never held the IWGP title. You just won the IWGP tournament.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't think they started doing the tournament until like 88. Or I'm sorry, I don't think it was a title until like 88. I think up until that point it was just a tournament. Also, it's so weird. Like, Hulk Hogan thinks he has the original big gold belt at home, and he doesn't. And like, he thinks he does, and like, no one can convince this dude that he doesn't like have that belt, but he thinks he does.
Hogan could be another candidate for finesser.
Bro, finesser of a lifetime.
Right.
Bro. Like, so yeah, we were like, and the thing is, going back to these negotiations, apparently the only reason that they fell apart is because of money and because the feeling within New Japan. Because here's another thing you guys have to keep in mind. Who actually ends up in the Bullet Club is not up to, like, for instance, it's not up to Kenny Omega. Even though in kayfabe he's the leader. New Japan decides who's in the Bullet Club. They're the ones who decided. So if New Japan like signed the deal with him and said he's in the Bullet Club, he's in the Bullet Club.
Right. There's no, we don't want him. Like, no, he's in.
He's in. And the feeling though was that he would he wanted too much money and that he would bolt as soon as interest from WWE came around. And the feeling was that there would be interest because this already happened a couple different times with Hogan. The first time with TNA, the first time when he went over there, remember they shot the angle where
Jeff Jarrett hit him with a guitar.
Yeah, and then he went back to WWE like right after that. Like as soon as they got a whiff that like there was interest in him from a big company, WWE would rather have, if he's going to make money, they would rather have him making money under their umbrella than somewhere else.
Right.
So they kind of thought that maybe he'd be using New Japan and the Bullet Club as a stepping stone to get back into the good graces of the E.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. That's the main thing. Hogan wants to be in WWE at the end of the day.
No, he doesn't. He wants to be in New Japan because he wants to wrestle for real. He doesn't want to bullshit around.
He wants to be wherever he's going to get the most money.
Now, remember the promo? He's like, I want to be in New Japan. I want all the good wrestlers to come to me where I can really wrestle. I don't want to bullshit around.
Right.
If you guys haven't seen these promos, just Google Hulk Hogan New Japan promos. They're freaking awesome. That's all the news I got. What do you got?
I just have one last thing. We've talked about this last couple of weeks, the Taka Taichi Mania. So that's a show that...
I thought they were going to air that on... I know they're doing it on Samurai TV, but I thought that it was going to be on New Japan World.
Yeah, so did I, but I guess not. But we talked about this. Taka Michinoku and Taichi from Suzuki-gun. They promoted a show on January 23rd called Taka Taichi Mania. There was a sellout crowd of 1,525 at Corrigan Hall. Both Suzuki-gun and LIJ were the stars of the show. The top two matches, you had Bushi and Takahashi defeating the team of Taka Michinoku and Kaiji Tomato. During that match, you had Bushi blowing miss at Tomato, and then Tomato asked for a singles match with him. Then in the main event, you had Naito defeating Taichi in 24 minutes and 31 seconds with the Destino. As we mentioned last week and the week before, this was the 15th anniversary of Taichi's pro wrestling debut. LIJ celebrated after those top two matches, and Naito told Taichi that he should think about stepping up to the heavyweight division.
He should, because he's a heavyweight.
He does not look like a junior.
He's been every time he's in the like Best of Super Juniors and stuff like that. He's just a heavyweight picking on juniors. It freaking
He
sucks.
looks yoked to the gills compared to most of those juniors.
Dude, there's guys in the heavyweight division that are smaller than him.
Right.
Just look at Zack Sabre Jr.
Right.
I actually do want to see that Taichi versus
Naito
match. As weird as you listeners might think I am right now, because trust me, I freaking hate Taichi, but I do know that when push comes to shove, he can have a great match, and I'm just wondering what that match was like, even if it's just novelty. But I bet you at 24 minutes with Naito, I doubt that could be a bad match.
Yeah,
in a sold out Cork and Hall, there's no way that's a bad match.
Right, I'm sure it was a pretty good match, and I'd be willing to see it too, because I hate Taichi just as much as you do. But it would bring me great pleasure to see him get his butt whooped by Naito, Ida Destino.
Do we have any other news?
No, that's it, man.
So there was something I wanted to make mention of on the air. I didn't really talk to you about this, Jeremy, or anything, and we'll give you guys a rundown of what we're going to be covering after this. But I just want to take a serious moment here. So for those of you who are listening out there right now, we run a wrestling group on Facebook, the Wrestling Squared Circle, and we meet a lot of people just in our everyday lives. Me and Jeremy, it's kind of funny. We'll be wearing like wrestling shirts, and we'll run into people out and about, and they want to give us they want to 1 sweet us and 2 sweet us stuff, which always catches me off guard. I always think it's so crazy. But recently when we were coming up with the idea of starting this show, I work in finance. And I do like sales and lead generation, things like that. I help people with their retirement accounts, essentially. And there was there was a coworker that I met very recently who was a new hire by the name of Jamaris Dorset, and I noticed that he had one of those pops at his if you guys ever seen the little pop figurines, the guys with the little black eyes, those are pretty cool. And I saw the AJ Styles pop on his desk, and I was like, what the heck, oh snap, this guy likes AJ Styles. And he'd come to I go to work, and I don't I try to dress up semi dressy, because it's kind of like a business, but we have a semi-casual attire. But my buddy Jamaris, he would always come in and he'd be wearing Uso shirts, or he'd be wearing AJ Styles shirts. He had Nakamura, different. So I mean, this guy loved wrestling. So I was like, I gotta meet this dude. So right when we were starting this show, I walked up to him and I was like, yo, what's up, man? You like wrestling? He's like, yeah, bro. And this was a few weeks before Wrestle Kingdom, and I started telling him hey, have you heard about Y2J and Omega? And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, I really, really want to see that match. And I was like, you follow New Japan? He's like, no, not really, not at all. I just watch WWE. I mean, he really watched WWE. I mean, he's super active online with his fandom. And so I mentioned to him, that I ran this group online. He joined our Facebook group. He wasn't very active in the group, but he had just recently joined it. And I told him about the podcast that I was starting, and he thought it was really cool, and he wanted to watch New Japan because of it. And so a few weeks later, things went by, and I was telling him, I was like, yeah, man, podcast is going really well. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I know, man. He's like, I listened to it. And I was like, you listen to my podcast? Because I never met anyone in real life that I knew that people were downloading it, and I don't know how or who you guys are, which thank you for listening. But it was really cool. Me and Jamaris, we weren't best friends, but he was someone that I knew from work, and that he took the time out to listen to this show and to tell me that he really enjoyed it, and that it got him interested in the Japanese product, which was really awesome. This past week, last Tuesday, it was actually very unfortunate. Jamaris passed away, and we were in a training class together, and he wasn't there the next morning. I didn't think too much of it, because people call out, but then the news kind of hit, and people started sharing the news links, and he was unfortunately involved in a crash incident, and his life was taken from him. And that kind of hit me that not to make this show super heavy or anything like that, but this was somebody who really loved wrestling, and I was even thinking about it watching, this weekend of awesome cards that was on it, that he would have loved to have seen, Nakamura win and all these different things. But I wanted to pay tribute. Most of you guys listening, you don't know this individual. It's someone that you'll never meet, and many of you guys will never meet you or anything like that. But the fact that someone took time to listen to our show and tell me that they enjoyed it and kind of express that to me, it meant a lot to me. And I'm still waiting to hear what's going to be happening with his family and kind of like the arrangements with the funerals and things like that. But I'm sure no one from his family is like necessarily listening to this right now, but I just felt like it would be appropriate to, pay tribute to him and to him being like the first listener that I ever had that told me that they liked what we were doing, which, probably didn't realize at the time, but it meant a lot to me. So, Jamaris, my prayers and thoughts are out there with you and your family, and, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I know you told that story. You told us about that, and it was just very shocking. So definitely my prayers and thoughts go out to his family. And it's just one of those moments, guys. Just take the time to tell your friends and family that you love them, and check in with people that you haven't probably talked to in a while, man. You never know when somebody's going to go, so just do the right thing and just kind of reach out to people and just love the people that are close to you.
Nice. Well, we have next week, we've got the coverage of New Beginning coming up.
Right.
New Beginning Night 1 and Night 2.
In Sapporo as well. We're going to name our Wrestler of the Month and Match of the Month for January.
If you guys have opinions who you think is deserving of being recognized as the Wrestler of the Month, or what you thought the Match of the Month, I'm sure you guys have some pretty varied opinions out there. Let us know. Hit us up on, where can they find us, Jeremy?
On Twitter, at KI Strong Style. I'm also on Twitter, at Jeremy L. Donovan. You can join us in the Facebook group, The Wrestling Squared Circle. You can find us in there. We're always having conversations in there. You can find us socialsuplex.com. That's where all our columns, news, and podcasts are. And of course, we're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean, TuneIn Radio. Wherever you get your podcasts, you will find the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
I'm starting to get more active on the New Japan Pro Wrestling Reddit.
Yeah, you can find us on there as well. Don't downvote our podcast.
Yeah, dude, that's the most weird thing. Like, we'll put up a new episode, and I'm always like, man, this is such a positive group. It's such a open community. This is awesome. And I'll check the freaking podcast, and we got 9 upvotes. And then I'll check like 4 hours later, we're down to 2 upvotes. What the freak happened out here? You guys are trying to bury this podcast.
Yeah, they're afraid of us taking over the territory, and so they're trying to bury us. They know, but the cream always rises to the top, brother.
They're like, who are these jabronis?
All right, guys.
But actually, we've been getting a lot of people off of that community who have been tuning in, surprisingly, and it's been pretty awesome. And so we want more interaction with you guys. We want to hear from you, and we appreciate you guys listening. And we're going to bring you guys more awesome shows here in the next few weeks with all the awesome coverage that's going on.
Right. And yeah, I mean, we thought we were going to have a hard time doing a weekly show, but
there's so much coverage, like it's crazy.
Right. So we're going to do our best, guys, to keep bringing you the best coverage in all things New Japan.
Because we're the Ace of Podcasts.
And don't you forget it. So until next time, goodbye and good night. Bang!